everybody. Back with another podcast. Excited to have a special guest today. It's been a long time coming. I feel like a little bit overdue. We've been chatting about doing this for months and finally found an opportunity. So, Dalton, why don't you introduce yourself?
It's a beautiful day in Salt Lake City.
It's a little cold, actually. It's a little cold, yeah.
In the middle of the summer, you know?
It's unusual.
Well, thank you for having me on. I'm so excited to be here. I'm chronically online as somebody in this industry, in the Medicare industry, in the ACA industry, and I've seen this podcast a million times. So to be here in real life, it's very exciting. But for the folks who don't know, my name's Dalton Miller. I'm the president and founder of RetireFlo. We help agents collect all the things they need to have informed meetings with their clients, like drugs, doctors, hospitals, pharmacies, permission to contact and assign scope for Medicare agents. But many people know me because I'm online. I'm originally from Columbus, Ohio. I went to the Ohio State University. Go Bucks. I hope some folks are offended out there. We're national champions right now.
I'm sure some people will be, but we're having down years out here, and we're not in your region. So out here in Utah, we don't care.
That's right. I'm more of an SEC hater. Our victory over Alabama a couple years ago was better than beating Oregon. So, but I'm a Buckeye, and I come from an agency myself. I was a Medicare agent before I started RetireFlo, and I worked for my dad's Medicare agency in Columbus, and we serve 25,000 beneficiaries with a Medicare supplement or Advantage plan. We don't count PDPs. And if you're listening at home, you probably shouldn't either, because who knows if the commission's going to be around for much longer anyway.
Ooh, you're gonna anger some agents with that take. I'm like, why do you even care about your $2? And that doesn't even buy you a cup of coffee. But
it doesn't. This was like $6.
Yeah, it's really caused some consternation, of course. So
yeah. And so I'm working at my dad's agency, and I'm listening to my clients over the phone.
Hold on a sec. Yeah, let's.
Before we get into it.
Yeah, we'll go back to I'm always interested about the origin stories, how to get young, talented people into the insurance space. So I'm curious there too. So
you'll have to let me know.
Just so everybody knows, we have no affiliation with RetireFlo so far yet. We're wanting to become super users and supporters, but this is just an initial conversation. Right?
Well, I had to come out here and show my face and introduce myself.
Exactly.
You know?
And I told Dalton before why we hadn't adopted the whole program. So we're anxious to proliferate it. So yeah.
Well, thanks for the opportunity.
Of course. So your dad was in the insurance space, right? How long had he been in the space before?
He was in the group health business for quite a while, my entire life growing up. And then in 2014, after Obamacare passed and the Affordable Care Act went into place, he just felt like the group side of the house, we were delivering rate increases all the time, and we had been serving the retirees from these groups with Medicare. And that's a fun, happy conversation. Not to say that there's anything wrong with doing group, but serving these people, helping people illuminate this very complicated process for them, it was just a fun business to be in, and he enjoyed it, and we were growing. And so he sold the remaining group business and pivoted exclusively towards Medicare in 2014. And we took all the folks who were working with us on group, and they're now Medicare agents today, many of which serve thousands and thousands of clients. And it's been way more fun, and we really, really enjoy it. I think for those of you at home who may not offer Medicare as a line of business, this is a great industry to be in.
Yeah, that's a hard sell this time of
I know
year with all the changes going on.
I'm still an optimist
about it.
Same
thing. It's still a great industry and opportunity for agents who want to do a good job and want to work hard and want to grow a business. It's not a good agency for horrible agents that want to come in and shortcut and churn and burn and not take care of the beneficiaries and not manage and maintain a book of business.
Agreed.
So yeah, but I'm really bullish still on the industry, and like you found, there's not a lot of sales like it, right? I mean, where you can help people, it's a happy, positive thing. You're even on group insurance, you're going to take them from paying a lot, even with their employer, to getting better benefits generally and pay a whole lot less money.
Yes, and oftentimes make those groups happy.
Yep, delivering the good news, getting those people off those risk pools.
Yeah, 100%. And so it's one of our largest referral sources at our home agency is just serving the employers in our community, telling people that.
So when your dad made that transition, you were still a teenager. So you're a young buck. So you saw him make that transition, and you were like, you know what I want to be when I grow up, Dad? A Medicare insurance agent, right?
If you want the honest truth, and I don't know if I've really told this story before. I was pretty, there was when Obamacare passed, I was pretty frustrated about what that did to our family business. There was a lot of confusion, and I watched my dad kind of try to navigate that. And
I transitioned out of the business at that time for a little while too.
Yeah.
While Dan stayed in.
It was a frustrating time. So I, as a young person, I was like, I can't believe this happened. I'm going to go work in politics. And so I got involved because I was like, I can't believe that this is happening. And at the time, there was a lot of, it was politically motivated. This was a Democrat-Republican thing, but I went out and got involved in politics, and I served for a while working for Governor Mike DeWine of Ohio. I was his personal assistant, driver, and speechwriter. He gave me a big blue Honda Odyssey minivan, and I lived with him and his wife for about 3 years and drove him around the state of Ohio wherever he went. I've been to all 88 counties in Ohio. I've been to the Blueberry Festival, the Grape Jamboree, you name it. And I've seen the entire state, and I worked for him when he eventually got elected. We did win the race, which was good. So I got a job at the end, and I got to serve as a speechwriter for a couple months. And then I realized that government and politics don't pay very well. So my dad had been trying to get me to join the business and come back and take some of those things that I learned with the governor, and I did. And I'm so glad that I did it. So glad that I did it. But a little interesting backstory.
That's cool. Yeah, I'd never guessed. That's no wonder you're so polished.
No, I'm not. I'm probably too honest. Is the case. That's what you find when you go out to these events. Is people want to tell you how they feel. Yeah. But it was cool. There isn't a place. If you're tuning in this from the state of Ohio, I've been to your county, and I've probably been to your city. So even the small ones.
Well, I've never met anybody so bullish on Ohio. So yeah,
I'm a Buckeye at heart.
Yeah.
Even though I did move to Los Angeles because I was a little tired of the Ohio weather. That's the one thing I'm not bullish on. But
it still seems like an odd trade for me.
From Ohio to LA.
Yeah, I mean, seems like LA's got plenty of things working against it
lately.
Well.
I live on the side where the fire was. Thankfully, I was unaffected by it, but I couldn't drink my water for about a month. There was like ash in it. So
besides fires and not being able to drink the water and, turmoil all over the place and traffic, other than that, it's a great place.
It really is. Yeah. It really is. When it's February and I'm in between, I do meetings on the half-hour mark. So I meet with somebody for 30, and then I do the other stuff for 30 minutes. And I meet with agents for 30 minutes, so back to back to back to back, usually from about 7 to 7. And that half hour between meetings, I sit outside, and it's nice, which I couldn't do that before when I was in Columbus. So I enjoy both time slots.
I don't know what I'm talking about. It's like 70 degrees here, high today in the middle of summer in Utah. So
it's beautiful, though.
Yeah,
it's beautiful.
It's beautiful, but it's also cold.
Yeah. I didn't bring a coat. I forgot. So I'm freezing out here right now.
So your dad, you went and did your stint in the political space, and then your dad had kind of transitioned over to the Medicare side of things, and it was going well. And he said, "Come on, son, look at the family business." You got a degree though, right? You went to college.
I went to the Ohio State University. Shocking there, political science degree, which
graduated
by the skin of my teeth, and I made it, but. I go and join my dad, and he gave me a great opportunity, which was to kind of see all sides of the business. I did a little bit of sales. I did a lot of shadowing what our successful agents do.
So he was already growing a big book then already by that point.
Yeah. At the time when I started, we probably served 15,000 folks. And so it was trying to watching, okay, what are the problems that we have in this business? Like, I felt like I had a little bit of a fresh set of eyes on it. A lot of the people that we worked with came from the group side, so we're used to it. But I would listen to these people, our clients get frustrated because Joe Namath is telling them that there's a better plan out there for them. And more common than not, it was their neighbor who said, "Oh, my plan's free and I get free golf clubs out of it." Or, I have this incredible plan. It does all these things for me. And so they call their agent, in our case, us, and say, "Hey, did you guys put me in a bad spot? Is there something better out there for me?" But if you're going to answer that question successfully as an agent, there's some things that we have to know about you. If I just turn around and say yes or no, I'm making an uninformed decision. So we realized, okay, what do we need? And we need lists of drugs, doctors, hospitals, pharmacies. Now we need a scope 48 hours in advance. And we're like, I thought to myself, there's got to be a better way to collect that than mailing something out. Agents across this country are licking stamps and sending out envelopes. Do you watch Seinfeld at all?
Yeah.
George Costanza's wife died because she was licking envelopes.
Yep.
Okay? Don't lick envelopes anymore. And you might say, "Oh, my benefit, you don't know my clients. They don't do stuff online." I strongly beg to differ.
Yep.
And we have evidence to support that that's the case. You just have to create something that's senior friendly, and that's what we set out to do.
So you at that point kind of just realized this need of serving the clients, the scopes and the surveys, and you decided you were going to do something about it. That's very ambitious. Says something about you gonna solve a problem. Let me build this tech platform.
Well, it didn't start off that way. It was something that we built in house, and it was not as pretty as RetireFlo is today, and it was kind of ugly. And we wanted to just test it, see if it worked. So the first year, we rolled out a HIPAA-compliant form stack program, which we paid a lot of money for, even though it wasn't as efficient as RetireFlo was for us later. But we sent it out to a list of 10,000 people. And we took bets around the office. Okay, how many people are we going to be able to get to submit the drugs, the doctors, the hospital, pharmacies, the scope? And Ashley Ellison in our office, who I'm going to poke fun of in a public setting today, she said, you ain't going to get 1,000. You're not going to do it. No way. And so I'm a competitive person. And I was like, all right, let's go. And in advance of AEP that year, we started to send it out in August and September and early October. We showed up to October 1st with over 4,000 submissions. And then by the time that AEP was over, we crossed over 6,000, almost 7,000. So we tried it out with a pool of 10,000 clients. So Ashley, if you're listening, I'm sorry. I won the bet, but
you were wrong.
Yeah, this was years ago. Yeah. I rag on her about it a lot, but yeah, it's the truth and it's a really easy formula. You tell folks, if you want tailor-made plan options for you, I got to know some stuff about you beforehand. If you go to a doctor's office today, you and I go to a doctor's office today, we got to fill out the clipboard before the meeting, right?
Yeah, or some sort of digital version of that pre-enroll.
Yeah.
And it's not very seamless. It's not as easy as RetireFlo.
No, it's not. Yeah. But you got to do it so your doctor knows what's going on with you. As insurance agents, we need to know some stuff about our clients as well, especially if they want us to do a good job. And so we were doing that, and we released this tool internally, and it worked like gangbusters. So much so that the following AEP, we had our best AEP, our best retention numbers by a country mile, but more importantly, our best new sales numbers. Our retention was always high, but we weren't spending AEPs bogged down by the minutia of trying to capture these drug lists. So we had this humongous AEP, and our uplines called us and said, what the hell's going on over there? We showed them RetireFlo, and they said, we have to have this for our agents. And at first we told them to kick rocks. We're like, no, thanks. This is our thing. Yeah. Appreciate it, but no. But then the 48-hour scope rule came back out. And I heard somebody at one of the conferences say it on the stage, and I texted my dad, and I said, we have to bring this to people to help them manage it. And that was kind of how RetireFlo was born.
So the 48-hour scope was kind of the impetus for it. What do you think happens if we ever rescind that 48-hour scope? Because I think
I hope we do.
That's the bane of a lot of agents' existence. And to be honest, I think it's extremely pointless at this point. And most people, I've been in the business for a long time, 17 plus years.
Sure.
Back in the days when we were getting those scopes of appointment, signed paper and storing them for 10 years, all physically, digitally. And then
file cabinet.
In answer to your question of, Joe Namath and all those ads kind of ruining the industry, CMS's response was, what would help that? Let's bring back this 48-hour scope. And everybody was just like, that is the worst thing. That's pointless. And most people don't even understand what a scope of appointment is or why we even did it originally,
And it scares the beneficiaries.
Exactly.
Got this scary government document. They think they're signing their life away. It's interesting from a CMS perspective. I just feel like, they kind of look at everybody like an NPN. They look at our NPN and they can't tell if we're a call center agent or if we're a field agent. And so they go, here's this new rule, or this rule is back, by the way, this 48-hour scope rule is back. But I hope they rescind it because we start to look at who the bad actors are in our industry versus the people who are providing thoughtful guidance to seniors across the country. And
correct. Well, and it's redundant. I mean,
sure.
you could add a checkbox at the end of the enrollment that you really what a scope of appointment was back in the day when agents were conflating and commingling different types of life insurance or financial products in addition to their health insurance, their Medicare plan. And the scope was to identify the entire scope of it, right? Like what was addressed at that point. And instead it's become some sort of nebulous permission to contact type of pre-authorization to even have a discussion to discuss these other things. And it's really kind of, it's hard to enforce. It's stupid. It's confusing to the clients.
Yep.
But nevertheless, it is the law of the land. It's the rule right now. So you made a way to make it less painful.
Yeah, that was our hope. Our attitude was, if we have to get the scope in advance, when in Rome, let's get some other data that's going to help us prepare for the meeting. And that's all the things that we collect. And so
scope, medications,
yeah,
obviously contact information.
Yeah.
What else?
Yeah, basic contact information. So you're getting, when Susie Senior completes a RetireFlo survey, you're going to capture her phone number, her email, her address, permission to contact her, as well as her prescriptions, dosage, quantity, frequency, package, branded the generic, spelled right every time. You're not reading levothyroxine written in Susie Senior's handwriting. It's going to be spelled right every time.
But wait, it's so fun when you're either at home and they're like, "Hold on a second, let me go get my pill box,"
yes.
or my
or they bring it into your office.
Basket of pills, and they're like, "Here, wade through these." And
like, that's
how many
not
times
safe.
I've done that? I'm like, "What about?" They're like, "Oh, I haven't taken that for years." I'm like, "Okay. It's in here, or you're trying to do it over the phone. It's even worse."
In the survey, we tell beneficiaries on agents' behalves, this is the time. Go to your drug cabinet and get your pill bottles. This part's important. This is what's going to help us make this decision. So we have a little disclaimer that says, now's the time, go get them. And we do the same for doctors, pharmacies, hospitals across the country, whether Susie winters in Florida and summers in Salt Lake City. And then the survey ultimately ends with the scope. And we do this, and then we enhance that information on the back end. So we read what Susie tells you, and we let you know, is this a diabetes prescription or not? So we give you some insights on the back end about things that maybe you should be talking to your clients about, that maybe if I was just looking at a drug list, I wouldn't know off the top of my head.
So obviously you're taking a lead piece of that, where an important critical part of the appointment with the beneficiary is obviously the prescriptions.
Right.
Now, back in my day, when we were doing it, I lived through the days where there was no cover. There was a coverage gap, right?
Yep.
And then it was the donut hole, and then the donut hole got smaller and smaller and smaller. And it used to be that beneficiaries, depending on the medications they used to take, their entire life,
yeah,
and financial livelihood was planned around how they pay and when they pay for their medications.
Right.
Now, as we've seen that gap close and go away and then now be kind of transformed with the Inflation Reduction Act, how has that impacted, I wouldn't say the importance, because it's still important to get those medications, but how have you seen the impact change over the past year as we've gone to that 2,000 max?
It's been absolutely bananas. And the agents who have been able to get in front of it have made hay, and the agents who don't are getting left behind. And here's what I mean. While the donut hole does not exist anymore, and the way that PDPs and Medicare Advantage plans handle prescription drugs is different, what changed that, in my opinion, that was more important was the way that formularies covered prescriptions. And it has a direct impact, and everybody is going to see it when I say it, is like, if I'm Susie Senior, if I'm a beneficiary, and I was paying $15 for a prescription at the pharmacy, and I go back, and now I'm paying $70 for that same prescription, the first person I'm going to call is my Medicare agent and say, hey, what the heck happened? Did you do this?
Yeah.
And we know the answer is no, but it reignited a conversation with the Medicare agent in their lives and introduced the discussion, well, maybe we should take a look at this. And so what agents use RetireFlo for is to identify what those prescriptions are, shop them, and let Susie Senior know, is she good? Can she stay put on the plan that she's on? I've done the research. That's our recommendation to you. Or is there something out there that might be a better fit for you? And so agents use RetireFlo to collect that stuff. But, you know, when you whether that prescription cost goes up, which is probably more common, or goes down, it still initiates a conversation.
Yep.
And for these folks who are on fixed incomes, you know, those are big decisions. If I don't know that my prescription, because although they get their annual notice of change, are you reading your annual notice of change?
Yeah.
You know, I'm not
if
sure.
I can't sleep at night. Yeah.
You know, yeah. If you can't sleep at night, it'd probably help. Who needs melatonin when you get your ANOC?
Yeah.
It's like, if you're not checking that, you might just go to the pharmacy and have that experience, and it's like this whiplash event. And so I think it really, for us, and I talk about it, you know, I never want a senior have a bad experience when they go to the pharmacy, and I want to empower agents to get out in front of it. But for a lot of folks, it's the reason that they realized they needed a system like ours, because they're like, uh-oh, I've got these people calling who are unhappy. How am I going to remediate that? So,
yeah, I think, you know, last year in regards to prescription drugs specifically, I think that, you know, as an agent, I was always looking for a reason or an opportunity to either talk to a potential or prospective client or add value to my clients, you know. And with even this year, it's continuing over, there's a huge opportunity to explain the impact of the IRA and how it affected prescription drugs. And frankly, I don't even think most agents understood or still understand what that transition is and how important it is to talk to their clients about it. Because I think a lot of agents are like, well, at the end of the day, I guess I'll just tell my clients the max they're going to pay is $2,000, you know. And I think that's a really poor.
I don't think it's enough.
It's not enough. For sure, it's not enough. And it's also really potentially you're leaving a lot to be uncovered, right? Because the smoothing process, when, and the different co-payments. And I think this year, specifically with the PDPs, we're going to see cost increase go up, and you have to be able to explain why. We're going to see more premiums on Advantage plans, kind of seeing the reintroduction of premiums coming back to Advantage plans, and we have to be able to intelligently explain to our clients why. And I think that part of that survey and that outreach process, whether it's hugely financially impactful or it's capped or not, it still is really important to be able to understand that and be able to have those conversations with your clients and still check those things and then explain to them why that is and what they can expect when they go to the pharmacy.
Is this my camera over here?
Yeah.
Okay. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm
dramatic effect.
I'm Paul Revere, okay? And I'm riding through town telling you that a PDP crisis is coming. AEP is here. We're taping this on what, June 20, what is today, the 23rd?
23rd, yeah.
23rd, okay, LeBron, 23. AEP is here, and here's what I mean by that. Get out in front of it. If you let the PDP crisis caused by the Inflation Reduction Act, the way, if you let your clients have that experience when they go to the pharmacy without you telling them about it in advance, that's a harsh conversation to have with somebody. So start today. Good AEPs are made now. So build a game plan.
Sounds like you listen to the podcast.
Yeah.
Or you're a good agent. Yeah.
No, I do listen to the podcast because there are certain people out there, and we
good AEPs start now.
We can't be louder about this than we already are. I mean, I hope that people take heed when they hear that message, because it's like, agents say to me, well, I don't want to send out my first AEP communication on August 1st. That's too early. Yeah. No way. It's time. If you're going to collect the data that you need to build in extra windows, so that way you got, in the summer months when things are a little bit calmer, I don't want anybody to be spelling levothyroxine to you over the phone on August 24th. You should have it already. And so start now.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think any beneficiary is ever like, you know what, my agent's too good.
Yes.
He reaches out. He reaches out too early. He's too thorough. It really frustrates me when, like, a month or two before the annual enrollment season, he's trying to prepare and make me aware of the changes so I don't stress out about it.
I really don't like him for that.
Yeah, you're like, it's really annoying that he tries to help me with my health and wealth. You know, that never happens, right?
Right.
So, well, talk to me about, kind of some of the changes that we're seeing coming up on the horizon, how you feel like agents can really use and leverage RetireFlo for this upcoming AEP 2025 into 2026.
Well, from a preparation perspective, there's no better way. The reason why RetireFlo has been so successful, and if you're an agent curious about us, Google us. Don't listen to me. Listen to what other agents say about us. Is because it's so senior friendly. When you send out a RetireFlo survey, let's say to 100 clients, you're more likely to get a submission from more of those 100 people than using any other tool to collect that data. And it's because we take the extra efforts to make sure that survey is white labeled with your logo, with your headshot, so it looks and feels like you. But if you're thinking about this, okay, you're tuning into this, we're taping this on June 23rd. Mm-hmm. What can I do today? Think about the best way that you can garner a reaction from your clients. So let's say you serve 1,000 people, and you're like, how can I communicate with them in advance of AEP? You might say, well, my clients, maybe they're not fantastic emailers. Mm-hmm. Maybe I feel like I do email campaigns and it works, but maybe it could be better. Why don't you consider doing a print run with a QR code driving somebody to a survey like RetireFlo? Or maybe I've never sent automated text before to my clients. Maybe I should look into how to do that. Use this time in the summer to build in those systems. I would tell you personally, automated texting has a higher take rate, higher efficacy than anything else, especially to our beneficiaries. It feels more secure to them. And an interesting statistic that we found. So in our first year of operation at RetireFlo, we produced just short, we were like this close, of 1 million submissions for agents across the country, just short. We're really proud of that number. 65% of those 1 million submissions took place on a smartphone. So what I found is seniors are getting better at their smartphones than they are their desktops or their computers at home. So if you're thinking,
that's in line with a lot of industry statistics, like devoted texts. And I mean, I think their stat is about 2/3 or 66% are texting with them as the insurer as far as communication.
Yeah. And I'm an agent at home and I'm like, whoa. I don't know how to do that. Take a deep breath. It's okay. You have the time now in the summertime to figure out how am I going to distribute these, whether you do it through GHL CRM, they offer texting, you look at alternative tools like a MailChimp or something. That's what I use personally to communicate with our agents. So it's like, look at these things and say, all right, how can I get to these, to most possible people as I can before AEP, and then pick a plan and stick to it. Because when it gets thick, in September and people start calling and saying, oh, my buddy's getting free golf clubs. What do I need to do? Stick to the game plan.
You had that on the survey. You're like, what golf clubs do you want?
do you want? Yeah, we'll send you a box of Pro V1s
Yeah.
if you complete the survey. No, I wish. Actually, we submit our survey through CMS, through the health plan management system.
HPMS. Mm-hmm.
And that's a bear. We do it every year.
Oh, that's good. It's legitimizing for sure.
It's important.
Impressed you do that.
Yeah, it's I lead that team who does it, and I'm usually pretty grumpy.
Yeah,
during
it's
the
not
season of
enjoyable,
life.
that's for sure. Nor is it easier, quick, and efficient.
No.
You know, so as many things are on the government side, you know, there's some updating and some automations that could happen there for sure.
Yeah, I would love to see Dr. Oz streamline the health plan management system. That's what I dream about at night at 29 years old.
Yeah, there's a lot of streamlining across the industry in general that could happen for sure. So, yeah, definitely a lot of possibilities for improvement.
Yes, Dr. Oz, if you're listening to this from your house in Pennsylvania or if you're in Washington with Secretary Kennedy, you know.
Our teams, Jeff and Heather are actually out, and he's in one of the meetings. I'm not sure they get to actually carve off some time with him specifically, but our team's out meeting with CMS and going through a lot of those meetings back in DC as we speak.
Yeah.
So I'm hopeful that we have some good conversations and some insight as to what the direction is heading there. It's
important that your folks are down there. You know?
Yeah, Dan and I would have gone, but Dan's going out to Louisville for a Humana partner meeting tomorrow, and we've got lots of crazy stuff going on here, so had to hold down the fort.
We got to stick up for ourselves as agents, and the best thing that we can do is brag about our services. What do our clients say about us? We have a tool that helps people with reviews, star reviews. It integrates with Google. It's called Splash. Check it out. It's free, no strings. Anybody can have a splash page on RetireFlo. But
it's good. It looks good. It's very
thank you.
It looks professional. It looks nice. It looks easy. It's very very clean.
And that we worked hard on it. But if you're out there constantly posting online, sharing the news that, hey, here's someone else in my community who worked with me and benefited from my services, that is a referral magnet. Mm-hmm. If I recognize somebody's name, I know Susie Senior, I'm going to call this person too and have them help me with my Medicare. So, or ACA or life annuities, you name it.
The industry's really rebounding back into that. Calling somebody, getting a referral, who helped you, who can I trust? I think that we're really on the other end of that with people not knowing who to trust with the Joe Namath or these spammy calls or emails and things that they're getting, and
the stack of fire kindling they get in their
mail.
Mailboxes.
They just don't. It's like drinking from a fire hose, analysis paralysis, and they just don't know. It's like a trusted agent and a referral is going to be the gold standard as it's always been, and we're really seeing that really rebound towards that.
Well, I just want to pour a little gas on that fire. Our Splash tool helps capture referrals in a TCPA compliant way. So, it is the best lead. Mm-hmm. Agents ask me, I talked to this agent who's in California who said, what's the best thing that I can be doing as a Medicare agent? Where do I buy leads? You can, but I'm going to ask you first, what are you doing to stoke referrals?
Yeah.
And it's not as transactional. Mm-hmm. If I put money in, I buy a lead, I get one out. Mm-hmm. That's how it works. Referrals is a little bit of a harder thing, but put the time in and you start to build this referral snowball. If you don't ask somebody for a referral, they'll never think to refer you.
Yeah, I have agents where once you get to a brook that's a certain size, it's pretty much self-perpetuating.
Yes.
And by the time that, you're 500, 1,000 clients in, their book's just growing organically by them doing a good job and continuing to refer them to their friends and family and then their children who are aging in, et cetera. And they don't have to do a lot of lead gen because their book is growing year over year, not only just replacement rate, but growing organically just simply from doing a good job with referrals in their own book.
If you have 1,000 clients, 500 clients, your existing clients are your best lead source. Mm-hmm. At my home agency, we serve 25,000 beneficiaries. 67%, because I'm a geek about this stuff, 67% of our new business, people who walk into our door for the first time, come to us via referral. So I would imagine that extrapolates down to people who serve less clients.
That's
probably people
fantastic,
serve more.
Well, and that's a positive growth rate, right? So you know that you're just going to continue to grow just on referral basis there.
Just by waking up every day.
I think you have a call that we got to...
I do, actually. That's a good point. Thank you for the reminder.
Yeah, I wanted you to talk about the ACA component with RetireFlo, because I think there's... The way I see the industry shaking out, and even with the news, I haven't even had a chance to talk about it, that dropped on Friday. There's going to be a lot of people that need to be served very, very quickly. And I think a tool like RetireFlo and a good CRM are going to be extremely important for agents to have, to be able to capture and serve and the mass numbers of people that are going to need help. How do you see RetireFlo helping those people?
Yeah, great question. So last year we rolled out our under 65 ACA survey. And we're really, really proud of it. It helps capture in advance of every single meeting that you take dependent information. So who's in the household? So we don't want to leave anybody behind. Their respective drugs, doctors, hospitals, and pharmacies, their respective income levels to help you determine the overall household income level. Smoking status, permission to contact, and it ends with the ACA consent form. So imagine you've got a meeting, you got two meetings. One where you have all of that stuff in advance and you're showing up prepared and doing the research and having informed discussions. And then there's a meeting where you're winging it. That's a worse meeting. Mm-hmm. And so although, we work really hard to get that income, the household income level perfectly right, it's great to have a good head start in saying, okay, here's what you told me. Let me ask you a couple questions about the sale of the business that you had last year. Or let me ask you a couple questions about your son's job. Is this still a thing? Finding out all that information in the household. We want to be a conversation starter, but RetireFlow's goal always is to ensure that you have enough information to run a quote in advance and wherever you do those quotes. But we want to get you all that information to run a quote, so that way when your clients show up to that meeting, you've got answers for the questions that they're looking for, or at least a good start at that.
Yeah, just to kind of wrap, because I think we could go another 30 minutes. But
I think we could.
What I like about you guys is you are FMO and tech stack agnostic, meaning you empower the agents to know the information about their clients that you need to go enroll them or quote. And I think that's really important. And I think you got a great tool there. So
thanks.
We'll have to do a part 2.
I'd love that.
But I think super polished guy, you guys are doing a great job. And I think you guys are building tools that are needed for the industry to help agents be great quality agents. And I think that's super important.
Thank you.
Dalton.
And I appreciate it. Listen, next time you're listening to your client spell levothyroxine over the phone, think about this interview that you tuned into. RetireFlo can help, but it's been an honor to be here. And I've watched this studio online like 100 times. So to be here in person is pretty cool. So
awesome, man. Well, it's great to have you out, and good luck with RetireFlo. We'll have some links down below here in the podcast description.
Cool.
Thanks, man.